Hi, I'm going to try and do this the way you guys do it, turned around, but it's really weird because I want to look there, but I have to look there. So I'll see how this goes, see how it turns out. I've been on YouTube today looking for how to do YouTube videos, and I've played around with my settings a little bit. I've actually remembered to switch my camera to not Wi-Fi because that's what I did yesterday. I did my whole video. I put it on my YouTube channel. Thought I was so damn clever. Watched it back on YouTube and it was all blurry. So that was a bit of a kick in the pants for me. I've been out for a meal tonight. So please excuse, I don't normally look like this. And I've done 2 videos where I've had full makeup and dressed well. I don't normally look like this. I 5 days a week am dressed in gym gear. And I have curly hair. So I went away for the weekend and I had to go into one of those horrible hotel bathrooms and wash my hair with their shampoo because I'd forgotten to bring my own shampoo, which I use for curly hair. It's all very complicated. It was horrible shampoo. I had the worst hair when my hair is not behaving itself, and this has got nothing to do with carnivore. It is like a big frizz because through COVID, I decided to let my hair go into its natural color because I was born with very, very dark brown hair, and guys don't tend to have to worry about this stuff so much, but girls, you get it. Having to upkeep my hair with color every 3 weeks. Like, I'd have my hair colored and literally the day after I came out of the salon, there was silver peeking through again. So I decided to give up on that and embrace my color. I have always had curly hair, but I've always had it straightened. When you have silver hair, and again, when you have silver hair, you can't straighten your hair because it burns your silver or white hair. So I did it a couple of times and then I got really nervous that my hair was going to burn and I'd end up with that kind of yellowy hair, and I don't want that either. So I've been very careful and let my hair go back to its natural state. And that's been a journey all of its own. I have really good curly hair and it goes straight when I want it to as well. So I'm very, very lucky. I'm waffling. Oh, that's right. I don't normally look like this, but I've been out to dinner. Let me tell you about that. I went to a restaurant in Sydney, Paddington in Sydney. Our children bought us a voucher for this place. It's called Fred's. It's one of the Maryvale restaurant group. Maryvale belongs to a man who owns pretty much all of Sydney restaurant. Not quite, but you know, he's got about 50. And every single one of them has a bit of a different vibe. And normally they're not terribly carnivore friendly, but this one had a 1 kilo on the bone ribeye on the menu. It was $200, which is a lot of money. And it was pretty much the only thing I could eat. I think there was a chicken dish. I do eat chicken. I love chicken wings. I eat them all the time, but I'm not really a fan of chicken because I just find it too bland and boring now. It doesn't taste like meat to me anymore. Chicken wings do. And the chicken wings are like, the protein to fat ratio is great. So I really enjoy cooking those. But I ordered the steak to share with my husband. He got some sides and it came out. And if I can figure it out and if I'm clever enough, I will insert a picture here, here. If it doesn't turn up, it's because I'm useless and I don't know how to do these things, but I'll give it a shot. I was watching a program this week about how to live for a long time, and they say if you can multitask, like learn a couple of things at a time, keeps your brain healthy. And for those of you who watched my video yesterday, the 3, 4, 5 people who watched my video yesterday, my father's been recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's, which is a genetic condition. His mother had Alzheimer's and his brother has Alzheimer's. All 3 of them have a different version of dementia, but having that ratio on my side of the family, I'm trying to do everything I can. And very fortunately, I was already in ketosis before the diagnosis hit. So I kind of accidentally was doing the right thing. But I'm really trying to be aware of what I put into my body now and keeping my ketones high and keeping my fat levels high, because recent studies have indicated that fat and ketones are the best thing to stave off Alzheimer's. Sadly for Dad, he has been healthy all of his life. He's always been never had any weight issues. He's never had an alcohol and never drank in his life. He's maybe had a shandy, which is like beer and lemonade, maybe 5 times in his life when it gets stinking hot out here. He's never smoked, and he's always been incredibly fit. So he's actually the poster boy for how not to get Alzheimer's. But I think the problem for him was that he was always trying to maintain his weight. He never struggled with it, but he was always very health conscious, and health conscious through the 80s and early 90s and really into the 2000s here in Australia have been about low fat. And he was very much, because he was a competition cyclist, I have to carb load before I compete. So he was doing that sort of stuff. And still to this day, he would never sit down to what he would consider a high fat meal. So I really think that his lack of fat has impacted on his brain, and potentially that's part of the reason that he's, now suffering with Alzheimer's disease. So fortunately for me, I'm well on the way to knowing how to up my fat intake and keep my brain healthy. So I've had this meal, I've eaten my steak, I've so enjoyed it. I did have a cocktail. I did not enjoy that. Every single day that I have no alcohol brings me closer to the decision that I'm going to give up alcohol. I don't get the joy out of it that I used to, which I'm so thrilled about, because obviously that's not great for my Alzheimer's, my future predicament. If it's something that's, underlying for me, alcohol really isn't good for your brain. My grandmother suffered with something called Korsakoff syndrome, which is Alzheimer's because of alcoholism. She was an alcoholic, very social and alcoholic, but she was an alcoholic. And so that broke down her brain and destroyed it, basically. So Alzheimer's kicked in. She was quite late. She didn't get Alzheimer's, well, I say late, until she was in her late 60s. But for somebody who damaged their brain as much as my grandmother did, and it's amazing, I'm digressing again, but she was this most amazingly beautiful lady who carried herself so, so well. I saw her in all the years I knew her, I saw her fall over drunk once. I knew she was always very jolly, and she was English, and so she did something called Elevenses, which is the English morning tea, but instead of a cup of tea, that was her first glass of wine, and her glass never emptied throughout the day. It was always full, and she drank until she went to bed with a Valium and a glass of milk and brandy, and that's how she was. But she just topped up the whole day. I never saw her drunk. So when I say she was an alcoholic, she wasn't on a park bench anywhere. And to look at her, she was the most fancy person you've ever met. Like, she always had this little handbag, and her hair was always beautiful, and her shoes always matched her handbag. She had this incredible style about her. Even drunk, she was very stylish. So alcohol was a big part of her life, and I think, she was lucky to get to 68 before she had her diagnosis. She passed away at, I believe, 84 with dementia in a nursing home, being cared for. But really, it wasn't till the last sort of 5 or 6 years that she became, she lost her independence. So she was lucky, where my dad's 76, and he was diagnosed last year, and he's still living independently, but he's kind of going, he's crashing pretty quick. So poor old darling. Anyway, I waffle, if you didn't notice. I remembered Alex Carnivore for Life. Alex, thank you so much for your subscription yesterday and your kind words. I hope nobody thinks I was being a bit odd calling you a scouse. Oh, well, I have called you a scouse on a video that I'm going to post as well today. You yourself know you're a scouse, you said on one of your videos. It's a term of endearment for those of you who don't know who Alex lives in Liverpool, and that's what they call themselves, scousers, and they've earned that nickname. We all know who they are if you're English or you've been to Liverpool. So Alex, I actually lived in Cumbria for 8 years. My husband is from Cumbria, and he went to university in Liverpool. So very familiar with your accent. It makes me very happy to hear you speaking. But thank you again. And I hope to see more of your videos and your success, because you're doing fantastic. You look incredible. Just Alex, on that, does your wife do the carnivore lifestyle with you. This is something I'm really interested in. A lot of people that I see on YouTube who have the carnivore lifestyle for them, some of their partners do and some of their partners don't. So my husband doesn't, but he's more sympathetic to the carnivore lifestyle than he ever used to be, because I don't cook for him anymore. I'll cook his steak, but he cooks his vegetables just because we're at that stage of our life. I don't cook for my children anymore. They're grown up, so they come and go. It's like a hotel. So he's less inclined to eat the carbohydrates that he used to. In saying that, he will still eat carbohydrates. And tonight with our meal, he ordered the bread and got a lovely selection of olive oil and butter. I ate most of the butter, really enjoyed it. And then he ordered black pudding, and I had black pudding for the first time, just a tiny sliver of it, but it was really delicious. And then we got the steak, this huge steak, and we shared that, and he ordered potatoes. And then for dessert, I wanted a cheese platter. So the way it worked in that restaurant is that you could choose a selection of cheeses. I ordered two. I ordered a blue cheese and a hard cheese. And that came on a platter with some lavash bread, which was kind of like hard toast, not quite Melba. It's very thinly sliced. It's like flatbread toasted, and honey. I think that was all that was on the plate. And recently I've had a little dalliance with honey because I made Dr. Kiltz's ice cream, and I put half a teaspoon of honey in the whole batch. And really I didn't need to, because I could taste the honey in the ice cream, but without the honey, it would have been fine. And I didn't read the instructions on the ice cream maker, so I stuffed it up. So I'm going to make more tomorrow with no honey. But the cheese, I had just a tiny drizzle of honey over the top, which I know is obviously not carnivore. Get it? And because I don't eat any sugar at all, just doing that with my knife, the taste was incredible, better than any sugar I've eaten in a long time. And I actually never liked honey, but it just really brought out the flavor. So I want to be completely transparent with my carnivore, my version of carnivore, Silivore. That's a great name for it. So my version of carnivore is Silivore, now to be known as Silivore. So I guess it's ketovore in some situations, but mostly it's carnivore. And because it was a special evening tonight, a special meal, that little bit of honey over the top, gosh, I really enjoyed that. And I'm a moderator. I don't have to do that again. I don't eat a bit of sugar and then like fall off the wagon. I'm really lucky that way. I'm very focused with my diet. And because of my teenage anorexia, I can be very focused, very polarized with a way of eating. Obviously, you have to be that way when you're anorexic, because you can't maintain that lower calorie intake unless you're very polarized and focused. But I can do it in the reverse, which has a positive effect. So if I go out and I have something like a drizzle of honey, I can then just go, okay, I had that honey, and move on. I want to celebrate my life every day. I want to enjoy being carnivore, but if there's a little tiny bit of honey on my cheese, I'm going to have it. And I will always be transparent. I'm never going to be that person that's going to go, nothing but meat passes my lips. Just, that's not who I am. Because like I said, I had a cocktail as well. Clearly that wasn't carnivore. I have to tell you, I enjoyed the cheese with the drizzle of honey a whole lot more than the cocktail. So I'm never going to say I'm not going to drink again, because who knows, I might drink again. But I'm drinking less and less, and I'm enjoying it less and less. So I'm getting there, guys. I really feel like I'm getting there. Also, I wanted to give a big shout out to Sophia Eats Steak, who's on YouTube. She's a 16-year-old girl who's going through anorexia herself, and I watched her 50 days on carnivore video today. Man, Sophia, if you ever see this, my darling, you are doing so well. I am amazed every time I see you. Today, you looked absolutely vibrant. It was almost like, well, Sophia will understand this because she's young. You know, on that show where, Twilight, when all the vampires are kind of translucent, but you can see the red blood cells coursing around their body. Sophia, you almost have this like twilight, translucent red blood cell count going on where your body looks so healthy and so full of life. Just from the first video I watched, it just looks so much better. You just look incredible. So hopefully, darling, your journey with anorexia and carnivore works really well for you. And like I said, I've had anorexia when I was a young kid. It was a 12-month period of my life. I'm sure you've been dealing with it for a long time. I was very lucky to get out of it, but it's that mindset stays with you. You've just got to learn to live with it. So I'm really, really hoping that you do so well with your carnivore journey. And I could not believe your video today when you were lifting those weights up at CrossFit. Girl, if you can lift those weights and pull them up over your head, like, that was incredible. Like incredible, because you're tiny, you're not very big. Like, I don't think you're a 6-footer, and you picked those weights up like they were nothing. So you are strong, and so I think that's really going to help you. And like I said, you look so incredibly healthy. So I'm going to try and keep these videos short and sweet and as regular as I can, and hopefully I'll be able to edit this thing. I really have no idea, but YouTube's been helping me with that as well. And I'll try and post up snippets here and there. I might even manage to learn how to do a short, because everyone will get sick of me. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm thinking I might do a little challenge, just a Syllivore challenge in the next few weeks, just to get me ready for summer, just to get my body feeling as healthy as it can. I'm not going to say I'm going to do B and E, because I know I need variety. But I'm just going to clean up my carnivore, maybe really get rid of the alcohol before summertime hits, and get rid of things that maybe I shouldn't have. I'm pretty good though. I am pretty good, apart from a drizzle of honey and every now and then a bit of a lavash, like that big. Or anyway, waffle. Thanks for listening. See you soon.